Battlecry of Freedom by Ngakma Nor'dzin.
Part 2. The Slogans. Slogan 1. First, train in the preliminaries.
Dang po nundro dag la lab.
Preliminary practices transform potential travellers into actual travellers. To ride the path of mind training, both rider and horse must be prepared. When I first started riding at about age 10, I would turn up at the riding stables and be given a horse already wearing its tack to lead out to the arena. All I had to do to prepare for riding was to wear appropriate clothing, arrive on time, and have money to pay for the lesson. As I became better known by the riding establishment, I became more involved in other aspects of preparing to ride. I would go earlier than my appointment, groom the pony I would be riding, and help put on its tack.
Kandra Dechen says, I cannot imagine why people would not wish to groom and tack up the horses on which they were to have their lessons, but some people seem content to miss that part of the experience. For Rinpoche and myself, it was a vital part of getting the best from our lessons.
Eventually, at that first establishment in my life as a horse rider, I started to visit the stables at other times when I was not booked in to ride and help out with the horses. I would be involved in all the ponies' care and preparation, and sometimes would lead a ride in charge of taking out other riders. When I eventually owned my own horse, the extra aspect that became evident that I had not experienced before was taking full responsibility for the horse. This included regularly worming the horse, balancing feed with regard to the horse's needs at different times of year, organising care for hooves. It involved being aware of the general health of the horse and knowing when to call in the vet. Also, I needed a greater knowledge about tack, what to choose for the comfort of the horse, but also to enable safe riding.
Ngakpa ö-Dzin says, moments of realization arise from having prepared the ground.
Riders who never become involved in all aspects of care and preparation will not develop the deepest bond with their horses. When riders are involved in all aspects of the life and care of their horses, intimate relationships develop. This intimacy offers the potential for harmonious riding and the achievement of the greatest capacity of horses and riders. The purpose of preparation in the context of Buddhist preliminary practice performs the same function. These practices give a beginner a means of beginning. They enable deeper involvement once some experience in practice has been gained. They eventually enable practice to be fully embraced as a method of awakening. Horse riders may retire from riding, but Buddhist practitioners never retire from mind training. The relationship with practice continues to deepen and strengthen. This creates commitment and capacity, and eventually awakening. From the perspective of Dzogchen, there are the three vehicles of Sutra, Tantra, and Dzogchen. These are the paths of renunciation, transformation, and self-liberation. Each require that a practitioner is at the starting point for the vehicle, the base, and has learned the methods of the vehicle, the path, so that a destination can be reached, the fruit. For preliminary practice, the fruit may only be a vague aspiration, but the base must be recognised and the methods embraced.
Shema Rinpoche says, the precious human life means precisely you.
To walk a path, all that is required is a functioning human body and the desire to travel. walking is an effective means of travelling at a steady human pace. This could be used as an analogy for the path of sutra. To ride to a destination, a traveller needs to have access to a horse. If a mount is available, then riding skills are needed. If there is access to a mount and the capacity to ride, then a rider is able to travel. This is a faster means of transport and potentially more dangerous than walking. The horse and the rider have to be considered. There is the possibility of being injured through falling off the horse or hurting others through dangerous riding. Nevertheless, with a good horse and a good rider, this is a fast and effective means of travel. This could be used as an analogy for the path of Tantra. Other ways of travelling that require engagement and skill could also be used, such as driving a car or piloting a plane. There is no mode of transport that can be used as an analogy for the path of Dzogchen. It is the path of spontaneous self-liberation. It is the path of instantaneous process. Perhaps the evolution of instantaneous personal teleportation might be the closest approximation to an analogy for this vehicle, or knowing that on setting out, the destination has already been reached.
Judith Leaf says, preparation is not something that we just do once and then forget about it. It is easy to enter into meditation and other practices and just continue along, but along the way we lose track of why we decided to do any of this in the first place. By starting with the preliminaries and going back to that starting point repeatedly, we can reconnect ourselves over and over again with our initial inspiration.
The method of the vehicle encompasses everything about how to travel from the base to the fruit. In Sutra, Tantra and Dzogchen, the route must be revealed by someone who knows it. The traveller needs a guide to explain the route, or better still, to accompany them. There still may be difficulties encountered on the journey, such as an obstruction on the trail, or the horse may lose a shoe, tack may break, or there may be adverse weather conditions. But if the traveller perseveres and has confidence in the horse, the guide and the route, then the destination will be reached. The base of sutra is the experience of dissatisfaction. In order to experience dissatisfaction, there needs to be some experience of satisfaction. There needs to be experience of success in life, some success in creating form in life that is functional. Success might include being able to hold down a job and be self-sufficient, being able to develop and sustain healthy relationships, being able to experience an ordinary level of happiness without needing to resort to drugs, excessive alcohol, or other addictive supports. If, despite having the capacity to be relatively successful in life, dissatisfaction is nonetheless experienced, this can be taken as the point of departure for a spiritual journey.
Kunchog Yenlak says, consider that the time of death is uncertain. It may arrive all of a sudden.
The base of Tantra is the experience of emptiness. This may occur through a dramatic life circumstance, such as the loss of a loved one, a car crash, serious ill health, or the loss of livelihood or home. Emptiness can also be experienced in relationship with an inspiring teacher, becoming empty through the wish to be like that teacher and have their qualities. The people surrounding a teacher may also be inspiring, seeming to be free of the oscillation of expectation and disappointment. They are vivid, robust and merry, and energetically engaged with whatever is happening in their lives. They do not seem to experience life as if being tossed about on a frenzied bucking horse, desperately hanging on. They ride and enjoy the bucks, and also calm the horse. From the starting point of emptiness, the relationship with form can be transformed and the path of Tantra commenced. The base of Dzogchen is non-duality, the experience of the non-duality of emptiness and form. This realization can arise spontaneously or through direct introduction from a teacher. In Tantra and Dzogchen, a teacher is essential to convey the methods of preliminary practice. The methods of practice given to the student will be personal and depend on the teacher, as the examples below taken from Roaring Silence.
Ngakpa Chogyam and Khandro Dechen say, sit from dawn to dusk and have no thoughts. You may use any method you wish to banish thoughts from your mind. Tomorrow, go back to the cave and sit from dawn to dusk again, but this time have nothing but thought, without interruption. Think of anything at all day long, but allow no gaps to occur between thoughts.
In Sutra, the experience of dissatisfaction is described as experientially common. Everyone is able to find themselves at this base, though not everyone will choose spiritual practice as the means to overcome the experience of dissatisfaction. If spiritual practice is chosen, then a teacher will be required here as well. Becoming a rider started with preparing myself to ride. Then I became involved with preparing the horse for riding. Finally, I was able to develop a deep and meaningful relationship with particular horses and experience the nature of riding. Preliminary practices immerse the practitioner in practice. They are not just that which precedes the main body of practice or the taster before the main meal. They are actual engagement with the vehicle itself, and thereby are themselves of the nature of the path of awakening.